Hey, what's going on, diehards? Welcome back to the Total Takedown. This is UFC Vegas 107, and what we do on this show, as you guys know, is we look back over the card, and instead of picking a side, we look at totals. We're going under, we're going over, we're trying to find a different angle to make some money on this card. Do me a favor, hit that like button, get subscribed if you're not already on this channel, and let's get into it. The first fight that I want to bring to your attention here is Trevin Giles and Alexander Gustafsson, okay? We've got a weird situation on this one. Trevin coming in on short notice. It's going to be a catch weight of 180 pounds. Trevin used to fight at 185. He's been fighting at 170 recently, so this middle of the road thing for him actually might be something that benefits him, because sometimes I worry he's cutting a little too much weight getting down to 170 pounds, diminishing returns. Andreas Gustafsson, sorry, apologies for that. Andreas Gustafsson, brand new to the UFC, right off Dana White's Contender Series. He's big, he's a little older, so he's too old to be a contender, and I think a lot of action's coming in here on this total because Gustafsson made a post on his social media. The game plan is to go full R-Tard, and if you guys have ever watched Tropic Thunder, you never go full R-Tard. That's his whole thing here. So the under is set at under 2.5 minus 140. However, I think we actually might want to buck that trend. I think the over 2.5 at plus 110 is where the value lies here in this fight, because if you take a look at the history of these guys, yes, Gustafsson has 8 wins by knockout. That's the regionals. We always talk about when these fighters get a step up in competition, when that game levels up, they do struggle to have the same kind of finishing success. So you don't expect these guys, unless they're, the cream of the crop, the Ilya Toporias of the world, to just roll right into the UFC and keep cracking people's heads left and right. If they try that, usually they're the ones that end up getting finished. But this guy seems pretty tough, pretty durable. He's actually never been finished in his entire career, so his only losses come by way of decision. Now you look over on the other side of this one, Trevin Giles. He's been finished a lot recently, but I talked about this on the Monday show. Let's look at the names of the people finishing him. Carlos Prates, he was in the driver's seat up until the point that he got caught deep in the second round of that fight. Gabriel Bonfim snatched his neck. We are not shocked that that happened in round one. Michael Morales, that kid is headed for a title and just smoked Gilbert Burns. Dricus du Plessis, that man has gold wrapped around his waist, and it took him until the second round to get it done as well. So all these people that are finishing Trevin Giles are championship contender caliber fighters. This is a massive step down in competition for Trevin Giles, and what do we see when that happens? Split decision with Preston Parsons. Grappling, I know it's not MMA, but grappling with Mike Malott. Unanimous decision loss. Decision win over Luis Kosei. Decision win over Roman Dolidze at 185 pounds. This guy is not easy to put away unless you are a legit championship challenger, contender level fighter. I think this fight is going over, you guys. I've got a bet on Trevin Giles already here in this spot just because I think the step down in competition will be enough. But picking a side to the side, let's look at the over here, because even if Trevin Giles were to lose this fight, yeah, maybe he just gets beasted by this guy Gustafsson, but we've seen what happens when he's not fighting a championship caliber opponent, and he does very well. He can survive, and in fact, more often than not, he wins. But Trevin has not been a potent finisher himself in the UFC, and coming in here on short notice, I would expect him to be a little bit looser, maybe watch his cardio, stick with the jab. We're going to deal with a lot of wrestling and grinding and transitions, but the one thing you see from Trevin is good knowledge when it comes to his defensive submission grappling. I don't think Gustafsson is going to be the guy who's able to choke him out. So yeah, I think over it, plus 110 is the way to go on this fight. Look to buck the trend here. Never go full R-Tard. Next up, Kurt Hollabaugh takes on Jordan Leavitt in the next fight. 2.5 total. Over 2.5 is minus 155, and we're looking anti-violence here again in this spot. Now, Jordan Leavitt is a guy that's got sneaky, underrated power. He's got a very good submission game, and I know that's something a lot of people are pointing to here with Kurt Hollabaugh, because Kurt ends up on the ground a lot. He ends up in grappling transitions a lot. However, he's only been submitted once. This man has 7 decision losses on his record. Not many people are able to get themselves in position where they can actually finish him on the mat. And at the same token, Jordan Leavitt, while he's got 2 submission losses on his record, and that kind of is something where Kurt Hollabaugh with the black belt, you think he may be able to take advantage of, the thing that I see working for Leavitt is the scrambles. He will find his way on top where Kurt Hollabaugh is more than content to lay on his back, and he'll give up that position. So we could end up with wrestling transitions here where Leavitt is on top of Kurt for very long periods of time, and both men are content to stay there. We just saw that Leavitt got out scrambled by Chase Hooper, and that was something that bit him, he's not going to go back to that too lightly. I think he'll be looking to get back on track, consolidate, get a win, make sure he gets his hand raised, and that means decisions, and that means over. I like this over 2.5 at -155. In fact, that might be kind of a steal. The next fight up, we've got Ketlen Vieira and Macy Chiasson, continuing our theme of anti-violence. The over 2.5 is -375. There's not a whole lot of technicality or breakdown that needs to go into this. This is women's MMA. Macy Chiasson can be more of the violent type when it comes to this weight class. However, Ketlen Vieira, we've seen she's able to go the distance with some top tier, very caliber fighters. I don't think Macy's going to be the one who's able to expose her where those previous opponents have not. So I actually think the over 2.5 at -375, you can use that as a parlay piece. I don't see that not hitting. Like, I have a hard time believing that either one of these women is going to crack and break in this particular matchup. I think split decision is kind of the way this one goes, and over 2.5 at -375 could be usable if you need a two-legger. Billy Ray Goff and Ramiz Brahimaj is the next fight that I want to talk to you about, and you guessed it, over 1.5, -165. Now, this is a 1.5, and that's the only reason I'm talking about it this way, because I think this could be a bit of a tweener fight. I don't think this fight goes the distance. However, I don't believe it ends in round 1. So that leaves the end of round 2 and round 3 for this fight to finish, and I do think that's entirely possible. The way Billy Ray Goff fights, he cooks you. He continues coming forward. He never stops storming his way forward in the cage, and eventually that pace, that pressure, it gets to you, it breaks you. Ramiz Brahimaj on the other side, we just saw him get out of there with a big round 1 finish. He's got a lot of round 1 finishes, and it seems like that's what he's good at. So it's a little bit scary to take an over whenever he is involved, but when he is the nail and not the hammer, this guy's got guts. This guy's got toughness. He hangs in there with the best of them. He just got decisioned by Themba Gorimbo. Court McGee was able to grind him out. It wasn't until his ear exploded and the referee stopped the fight against Max Griffin that he finally got out. His losses are all by decision, and no, I am not counting the TKO stoppage because of the ear. Yes, it goes down as a KO on his record, but he was still fully conscious and with it. If it hadn't been for his ear falling off, he would have gone all the way to the judges' scorecards that night as well. So unless Ramiz is finishing and finishing early, this fight is going to extend. I could see it finishing late round 2. I could see it finishing in the 3rd. Billy Ray Goff has been hurt before. He has been clipped. He has been injured. But it does seem like he's the kind of guy who can take that first shot and then keep pushing. So I'm counting on the durability, the dog in both of these men. And I'm going to say hold your breath, pucker up that butthole, and let's get up and over 1.5 at -165. Erin Blanchfield takes on Macy Barber in your main event. Now, this is not your classic women's MMA fight, you guys. This is one where you actually have to seriously take a look at and consider an under just because of the way these two women fight. But on the flip side of that, I actually think this is a spot where the toughness is what comes through. Neither of these women get finished very often, right? Neither of them have ever been finished, frankly. So the only way either one of them has ever lost, even though Macy Barber does have 6 KO victories and Erin Blanchfield has 4 submission victories, both of them are spot on with their defense. Both of them are spot on with their toughness. Neither of them is willing to get out of that cage unless you absolutely kill them, and so far nobody's been able to do that. Manon Fiorot and Rose Namajunas were not able to finish someone like Erin Blanchfield. And then on the flip side, you've got Amanda Hebos, and you've got Jessica Ai, Montana De La Rosa, Alexa Grasso. They have all tried. Macy Barber has not gone down. So I think the best bet in the main event here is the over 4.5 at -220. Again, it's a little chalky. It's a little expensive. But I think that's the way that you look here, because I think Macy Barber is super live in this fight, frankly. And if she is able to get into this fight the way I think that she can, it'll be very close, very competitive. I like the over more than I like the money line. I know a lot of people are picking Erin Blanchfield this week, but she's -240. Her best path to victory in this case is going to be a decision. I'd rather lay a cheaper price tag and let there be a chance that Macy Barber gets her hand raised at the end of this thing. And frankly, you guys, if you just do a 2-legger parlay, Vieira Chiasson and Blanchfield Barber over, it comes out to -120. I don't mind that as a play. I might actually end up locking that in myself. I know we talk a lot of options on this show and not so much necessarily solid locked in plays, but stuff that you should look at or consider. That might be a play that makes my card at the end of the week. That's the Total Takedown. Thank you all very much for watching. Hit the like button, get subscribed on your way out the door. Let's make some money this week. Let's roll.